Yahoo Finance says there's a new mega trend taking Wall Street by storm, one that's certain to change the world and our economy as we know it. It's a $30 trillion tech trend that's set to dominate the next decade. As Morgan Stanley says, the next decade of investing will be defined by this trend. Now, to put that in perspective, $30 trillion is bigger than blockchain, artificial intelligence, 5G, robotics, and the Internet of Things combined. No wonder there's a mad rush right now to get into this trend. The founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, has invested $10 billion in this. The world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, is planning to invest a whopping $1.2 trillion. Warren Buffett has invested $15 billion in it and said he's ready to invest $15 billion more. Billionaire Elon Musk is invested in it, so is billionaire Richard Branson. With all the savviest investors jumping in, research firm MRP called it a mania and said stocks in this area will experience exponential growth from here. But while some of the savviest investors on Wall Street are loading up, and while all the biggest tech players are already positioned for the big move, most everyday folks are still in the dark. That changes today, because the man regarded by some as America's #1 tech expert, Jeff Brown, is about to expose everything on camera. As an angel investor and former executive at 2 major technology companies, Jeff Brown tends to see big tech trends before anyone else. And because of that, he's been asked to consult with members of Congress, senior officials at the Department of Commerce, and members of the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency. In 2015, he encouraged people to invest in Bitcoin before it shot up as much as 13,932%. In 2016, he picked Nvidia before shares exploded as much as 2,186%. In 2017, Jeff did it again, picking AMD as his favorite stock. Since then, shares exploded as high as 805%. In 2018, he was telling everyone to buy shares of Tesla before shares exploded as high as 1,481%. And now, for the first time ever, he'll reveal the details of this megatrend that NASDAQ.com says could make you rich, and show you his #1 way to play this $30 trillion megatrend. So grab a piece of paper and a pen and pay close attention, because he'll also give away the name and tickers of several companies involved in this trend, no strings attached. Here is Jeff Brown. Hi, I'm Chris Hurt, and I will be your host for today's interview. I am here, of course, with the one and only Jeff Brown, considered by many to be America's #1 expert in tech investing. Jeff, I want to thank you for being with us. As always, we learn a lot, and I'm sure today will not be any different.
Chris, it's great to be here.
Before the camera started rolling, you were actually telling me that right now you have some sort of piece of technology inside a pocket. Is that right?
Right here.
This is a tech that's part of a $30 trillion trend that's set to dominate this decade. So my first question right off the bat is, can I see it?
Well, it's right here in my jacket, and I'm certain that anyone who invests in this technology could make an absolute fortune in the coming months and years. I'll even show you how it could help everyone watching this make up to an extra $30,000 a year. But before I show it to you, I think it's important you understand the magnitude of this megatrend.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I'm not the only one saying this could be the biggest trend of the decade. CNBC has confirmed that this megatrend is likely to dominate financial markets during the 2020s.
Right, and Jeff Brown, you're saying this is a $30 trillion trend. That's trillion
right.
With a T.
Absolutely. There's a lot of money at stake here. I mean, this is a huge trend that will affect everything. It's bigger than 5G, artificial intelligence, blockchain, or any other tech trend you may have heard of. And just to give you an idea, $30 trillion is enough to buy the so-called FANG stocks, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. And I'm not talking about buying a small stake. I'm talking about buying the entire company, all of them, not just once, but 3 times. That's why Morgan Stanley recently issued a note to its clients saying, move over FANG, the next decade of investing will be defined by this megatrend.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. $30 trillion is huge. In fact, is that bigger than the entire US economy?
Of course it is. You're right about that. It's really shocking. Most people don't know about this trend because even though this is already a huge opportunity, it's actually set to get even bigger.
What, you mean bigger than 30 trillion?
Yes, bigger than 30 trillion. You see, we're in the very early stages, and that's why CNBC called it a $30 trillion market just getting started. The Bank of America estimates this could reach 50 trillion over the next 2 decades.
Wow, so they're expecting trillions will actually flow into this trend.
Yes, and they even called it a tsunami of assets. And the fact is, it's already started. There's a mad rush right now like I've never seen. The biggest players on Wall Street are jumping in with both feet. Check out this headline from Yahoo Finance. Goldman and BlackRock are betting big on this new $30 trillion megatrend. The article went on to say, there's a new megatrend taking Wall Street by storm with everyone from Amazon's Jeff Bezos to BlackRock taking notice. It's certain to change the world and our economy as we know it. Goldman Sachs started a $1.5 billion fund to invest in this trend. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager, and they're going even bigger. They're planning to invest, get this, $1.2 trillion in it.
Wow.
Their CEO, Larry Fink, even said this will lead to nothing less than a fundamental reshaping of finance. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is also investing $10 billion.
Right, so it sounds like all of the big players are getting on board this thing.
Yes, and Amazon isn't the only big tech company that's getting involved. Apple is planning to invest $300 million in this trend. Google is going much bigger and has invested more than $7 billion. The savviest investors in the world are also jumping in. I'm talking about billionaires like Elon Musk and Richard Branson. Warren Buffett has also invested $15 billion in it, and he said he's ready to invest $15 billion more.
I can certainly understand why you decided to call this a mad rush. It sounds like one to me, because I've never heard of anything like that.
Yes, and I really can't blame them for jumping in. I mean, these people are rich for a reason. They like making money. And many stocks involved in this trend are absolutely exploding higher and making investors rich. For example, last year alone, shares of Ideanomics jumped as high as 922%. Plug Power jumped as high as 1,177%, and Fuel Tech jumped as high as 1,407%.
Okay, let me stop you there, because normally the stock market goes up by what, 10% a year on average,
that
right?
would be a good year.
But you're talking here about multiples of that. I mean, looking at this last example we see here, anyone who invested $1,000 on that play had the chance to walk away with a little over $15,000. And this all happened last year.
That's right. Those gains happened just last year. That's how fast things are moving. And it's going on across several stocks involved in this megatrend. It's really insane. For example, last year alone, shares of DPW Holdings jumped as high as 1,032%. Electromechanica jumped as high as 1,055%. And shares of NEO went absolutely crazy, jumping as high as 2,207%. These are all part of this $30 trillion trend I'm talking about.
Wow. This is insane, Jeff, in a good way. I mean, these examples that you're showing, we're talking about opportunities to make 9 times, 14 times, maybe even more than 20 times your money. And all of that, again, just last year.
That's right. And normally, you'd have to wait years and years, sometimes even decades, to see those types of gains. But these gains are happening at lightning fast speed. And that is clearly the power of this megatrend. It's a nice way to kick off what will be the biggest trend of this decade.
And yet you said that most people don't know about this new trend.
Yes, that's the sad reality. While all these savvy investors are jumping in, most people will end up missing out on this once-in-a-generation opportunity. And that's why I'm here today, to show you my number one way to play this megatrend. It's a company that's developed a piece of technology that will help power this trend. And in fact, Chris, I have the technology right here in my pocket.
I can't wait to see it. But you know what, before you show that to us, I know that you're also going to mention some tickers and names of particular companies that are involved in this megatrend. I just want to make sure, and that's no strings attached, right?
That's right. But you're going to have to act quickly. And it's because of this document right here.
And what's that?
Remember when I said there's a mad rush going on?
Right.
Well, this is a list of 2,608 money managers who collectively manage $80 trillion in assets. And they signed this internationally recognized document saying they're planning to invest in this trend. That's why Wouter S., Chief Investment Strategist at Northern Trust Asset Management, said, there is a wall of money coming into this megatrend. So if you wait even just one day, shares could be trading much, much higher. And Chris, that's why we're here today. I want to help folks get in ahead of that money. So today, I'll give all the details of this company I found because we have no time to waste here.
You know, I have to say this. If this was coming from anyone else right now, I'd probably think it was just a lot of hype, right? But the fact is, I know your track record. I've seen your resume. Obviously, it's very impressive. I mean, your list of degrees alone is insane. You've got to be the only expert in America who has degrees and certificates from Purdue's famed School of Astronauts, London Business School, Stanford, UC Berkeley School of Law, MIT, and Yale School of Management.
And I'm not done yet. I'm actually planning for Harvard next, Chris.
Oh, are you kidding? That's incredible. But see, here's the thing. I know that you're not just another academic with no real world experience. You were an executive at Qualcomm. You were the president of NXP Semiconductors Japan. Those are two major public tech companies. You're an angel investor. You've made dozens of deals involving private companies, pocketed gains as high as 4,300%. And because of your expertise in technology, you have consulted with senior officials of the Department of Commerce, various policymakers, members of the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, and the Defense Intelligence Agency. As an active member of the Chamber of Digital Commerce in DC, you were one of the most respected tech investors in America. But I think what's even more impressive to me is your track record of seeing big tech trends before most people ever catch on. And by way of example, in June 2015, you published a write-up on Bitcoin. And you encouraged people to buy a few Bitcoins. Now, Bitcoin was trading for what, $240 back then?
Yep.
So anyone who listened to you at the time had the chance to make as much as
13,932%.
Not done. The following year, you picked NVIDIA as your favorite stock. Boom, it exploded 2,186%. And by the way, NVIDIA turned out to be the S&P 500 #1 tech stock of 2020.
It did.
I mean, we could spend all day giving examples like that. For example, you started covering 5G as early as 2017, way before it became a mainstream trend. And I know that specifically your 5G presentation from the historic Schubert Theater in New Haven, Connecticut has gone viral. You know, more than almost 2 million people have already watched that. And many of the 5G stocks that you singled out there have exploded higher. So stocks like AMD, you picked AMD in 2017 as your favorite stock. And look at this, it's jumped as high as 805%. A couple of your other 5G plays are up as high as 225% and 220% as we sit here right now. Now, I can't mention the name of those because you are still holding them in your model portfolio. Wouldn't be fair to your readers, I know. But
that's right. Well, needless to say, I'm very happy and proud of our track record. Those gains are incredible, but it's nothing compared to what I believe is coming. This will be the biggest trend of the 2020s, and it's not just me saying it. Credit Suisse said, this megatrend is set to dominate investors' agendas in the year ahead. And State Street Global Advisors says it's a must-have ingredient in every portfolio. And NASDAQ called it one of the biggest opportunities of the next decade. Chris, the thing about these megatrends is that you only need to catch one of those trends to fund your entire retirement.
Let's talk about this for just a moment. Can you give us an example of what Jeff Brown would call a megatrend?
Sure. A megatrend is something that basically changes the way that we live. It's something that affects just about everyone, and that's why the gains can be so massive. Look at smartphones, for example. had you invested in Apple the day after Steve Jobs unveiled the first iPhone, you could have made as much as 4,264%. Of course, before smartphones, we had another megatrend, the internet.
Right.
Along with the use of personal computers, it changed everything. Had you invested in Dell Incorporated back in the early 1990s, you would have made a fortune. Shares went up 112,582%. That's enough to turn a small investment of $1,000 into more than $1.1 million. The internet also triggered another huge megatrend, online shopping. Amazon started this trend, as we know, back in the 1990s. And that was the beginning of Amazon's retail revolution. Had you invested just $1,000 back then, you would have over $1.7 million today.
You know, just looking and thinking about some of those examples you just gave, the internet, personal computers, smartphones, online shopping, those are things that pretty much do affect everyone alive. My point here is that you expect the very same thing to happen as a result of this new megatrend.
I do. That's why Bank of America says this megatrend will lead to changes in how governments, companies, markets, and society more broadly operate. And the technology that's in my pocket right now will play a key role. In just a moment, I'll even show you how it could help you make an extra $30,000 every year. Anyone who invests in the company behind this technology could make a fortune in the coming months and years. But this is an urgent situation. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of money set to flow into this trend.
Right.
A new report from PwC estimates that almost 60% of mutual fund assets will be invested in this trend in the coming years. And according to the latest World Wealth Report 2020, by the end of 2021, wealthy investors said they plan to allocate 46% of their portfolio to this trend.
46%. Almost half of all of their money is invested in this trend.
That's right. And that's why Yahoo Finance wrote, this isn't just a megatrend, it's a movement in big money, and it's the most profound redistribution of investment that the world's biggest asset and wealth managers have recently seen.
All right. You know you're keeping us in suspense here, right? So what exactly is this megatrend?
All right. Well, it's just 3 letters, but I bet most people don't even know what it means. I'm talking about ESG investing. As independent financial advisor Nigel Green says, tech and ESG will be the investment megatrend of the decade. In case you don't know, ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. So clean technology is a big part of ESG.
You're talking about things like solar energy, wind power?
Well, not really. I mean, of course, renewable energy is part of this ESG trend, but that's not really what excites me. And the technology inside my pocket right here has nothing to do with that. Instead, I'm focusing on the marriage between 2 exciting technologies. That's exciting to me because when you combine 2 new technologies, that's when you normally see the biggest gains. Let me give you an example. Mobile phones were an exciting technology. So was the internet. And when you combined those 2 things, what do we get? Smartphones, right?
Right. And you already showed us how we could have made a fortune with Apple.
Yes, but you could have also made a fortune in the companies that were supplying chips to Apple. For example, shares of Skyworks jumped as high as 3,990%. Shares of Lam Research skyrocketed as high as 3,209%. And similarly, Broadcom jumped 3,268%. Just $1,000 invested in each of those right after Apple introduced its iPhone would have grown to more than $30,000 in each case.
It's incredible. But what you're saying is you see another one of these tech marriages happening now.
I do. It's the marriage between 2 new exciting technologies, electric vehicles and artificial intelligence.
Hang on. I'm going to ask you about artificial intelligence in just a moment, but you just said something about electric vehicles being new. I mean, Toyota Prius and Tesla have been around for a while now, Jeff.
Well, you're right about that. Electric cars have been around actually for longer than most people think. Did you know that President William Taft owned an electric-powered car? It was 1908 Baker Electric that clocked in at a whopping 14 miles an hour.
14? I had no idea.
Yes, but electric cars never caught on. The technology just wasn't developed enough. They didn't have good range, and charging the batteries was not easy at all. Plus, by the 1920s, gasoline became more affordable,
Right.
making gas-powered cars much cheaper. So electric cars never really had a chance back then. But thanks to advancements in battery technology, that's changing right before our eyes.
All right, well, what do you mean by that, changing right before our eyes?
Well, we're on the cusp of mass adoption of electric cars. And you don't have to be an environmentalist to believe in that. You see, this mass adoption is not going to happen because of environmental concerns. Instead, it will happen for economic reasons. And the company behind the technology that's inside my pocket will play a key role. Expensive batteries have always been the main factor preventing the mass adoption of electric cars. But that's changing now. Get this, according to a new survey from Bloomberg, battery costs have fallen 89% since 2010. That's just 10 years ago, and it's expected to keep dropping. That's why Forbes wrote, electric vehicle market hits its tipping point. The Guardian says the rapid reduction of battery costs is expected to trigger a faster switch to electric vehicles than previously expected. And UBS just published research saying that the shift away from fossil fuel vehicles may be imminent. So car makers that try to hang on to gas-powered vehicles will be left behind.
Are you trying to say that electric cars are going to become much more affordable than regular internal combustion?
Definitely. If you look at Tesla, it's already happening. The Tesla Model 3 and the gas-powered BMW 3 Series both sell for about $41,000 in the US. When you factor in maintenance cost, then Tesla is already more affordable. As the New York Times wrote, a Tesla may even be cheaper to own than a BMW because it never needs oil changes or new spark plugs, and electricity is cheaper per mile than gasoline. That's a big reason why shares of Tesla have exploded as high as 668% last year alone. And now, in terms of market value, Tesla is worth more than GM, Ford, Toyota, Volkswagen, and BMW combined.
Wow, hard to believe. And I think everybody knows that shares of Tesla have skyrocketed. They've been on the news a lot.
Yes. And unfortunately, most people miss this Tesla run because they think they're a car company, but they're not.
Well, hang on there, because if they're not a car company, then what exactly are they? They sell cars.
Well, this has to do with the technology inside my pocket. And I'll explain everything in a moment. Patience. You're not going to believe me, but I'm going to show you a video to prove it to you so you can see with your own eyes. And you'll see how a lot of people will get rich from this and how this technology could even help you make an extra $30,000 a year. But before we get to that, first, I want to show you this chart.
All right.
Because it will have huge investment implications.
All right. So what exactly are we looking at here?
Well, this graphic shows how new technologies are adopted. First, only by innovators, then by early adopters, and then finally by the masses. And when it comes to electric cars, we're right here on the cusp of mass adoption. That's why the New York Times wrote, the age of electric cars is dawning ahead of schedule. The article went on to say that we're rapidly approaching the tipping point when it will be as cheap and maybe cheaper to own a plug-in vehicle than one that burns fossil fuels. A few years ago, industry experts expected 2025 would be the turning point, but technology is advancing faster than expected and could be poised for a quantum leap.
It's very interesting. So this shift is not going to wait until 2025. That's what you're saying.
No.
Experts predicted that. You say that's not going to take that long.
It's happening right now. And that's very, very important because it's during this transition to mass adoption that you can see the biggest gains. It's why Bloomberg wrote that this market is poised to become explosive. We're already seeing some massive gains in companies involved in this booming industry of electric vehicles. And it's not just Tesla. Companies that make the batteries, companies that mine lithium, or those working on charging stations, you name it, they're all exploding upwards. Look at Chinese battery and electric vehicle manufacturer Kandi Technologies. Shares jumped as high as 532% last year alone. Or look at lithium mining company Lithium Americas Corp. As you probably already know, lithium ion is the most common battery type in modern electric vehicles. And for that reason, shares of this lithium mining company jumped as high as 641% last year alone. Or look at a company called Arcimoto Inc. They make a three-wheeled electric vehicle known as FUV, which stands for Fun Utility Vehicle. Shares have jumped as high as 1,660% last year.
Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. Last year, the market went up, about 16%? And that's actually a good return for most people. But the examples you just gave crushed 16% gains. I mean, we're talking about beating the market by more than, 100 times.
That's right. And it's why we have no time to waste. Literally, every day you wait, you could be leaving tons of money on the table. Because the biggest gains will happen now during this transition to mass adoption.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for just a moment here, Jeff, because you know as well as I do, when I drive on the roads today, I'm seeing mostly gas-powered cars. So how can we be so close to being on the cusp of mass adoption, as you put it?
Well, that's changing very, very fast. Pretty much all the automakers are rushing to transition from gas-powered to electric cars. Let's look at Ford. It's launching its first all-electric car, a Mustang Mach-E. Think about it. This is the poster child of American muscle, and it's making the shift.
That's very true.
If this doesn't tell you that electric vehicles are taking off right now, I don't know what else will. And Ford is not alone. Volkswagen is planning to launch 70 new electric models by 2028.
70.
General Motors just launched its battery-powered 2022 Hummer EV. It sold out minutes after its first unveiling.
What, you talking about the gas guzzler Hummer?
Well, they discontinued that Hummer in 2010 because of high prices of gas. But now they relaunched it as an all-electric pickup truck. And that's just the beginning. The CEO of the company said that GM will be an all-electric sooner than people would think.
Whoa. So General Motors is saying 100%, the entire lineup of their cars is going to be electric.
That's right. And that's happening across the industry with all the models. Toyota is planning to launch a new electric car with a range of 310 miles that you'll be able to recharge from 0 to full in just 10 minutes. And the CEO of BMW just announced that in the next 2 years, they'll build 250,000 more electric cars than originally planned. All the automakers are rushing towards this shift because they're afraid they'll be left behind. That's why the website Electrek wrote, 2021 is going to be the year for all electric cars and should greatly accelerate the electric revolution. There are so many new models hitting the market that it should shift the entire industry. So this isn't something that's years away. This is happening right now, and anyone who doesn't act will be left behind. In fact, if you didn't invest in this market in 2020, you already missed some incredible opportunities. For example, look at the company Seaback Energy Technology. They make lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. Last year alone, shares popped as high as 1,622%. Or look at what happened with shares of Ohio electric van maker Workhorse Group. It skyrocketed as high as 1,887%. And shares of Chinese EV maker NIO jumped even higher. Some people have even called it the next Tesla. Their shares jumped as high as 2,207%.
Right. And just to be clear, that all happened just last year.
I know. It is insane. Think about that. Last year, every $1,000 invested in the stock market would have returned $160 in profit.
16%.
The same $1,000 invested in NIO would have returned $22,070.
So you're talking about making almost 140 times more money.
That's right. These massive gains are happening because, like I've been saying, we're on the cusp of mass adoption. And that's when the biggest gains will happen.
Okay. So, Jeff, based on these monster gains, I might be able to say it looks like we've already missed our chance to profit.
Actually, it's not too late. So, for you watching at home, if you missed those big gains from last year, please don't worry, because thanks to this technology inside my pocket, you'll have a second chance.
You do know that the suspense is killing us here, right? What is inside the pocket?
Well, before I show it to you, let me remind you, so far, I talked a lot about electric vehicles, but that's just one part of the equation. Remember, I'm talking about the marriage between electric vehicles and artificial intelligence. And Tesla is a great example of that.
And I'm glad you brought that back up, because earlier you had said that Tesla isn't just an electric vehicle company, but I don't think I gave you a chance to really explain that. What do you mean by that?
I'm glad you asked. Remember when people used to think Amazon was just a bookstore?
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who made that mistake missed out on 171,194% gains, as Amazon went from selling books to dominating all of the retail industry.
Right.
People are making a similar mistake with Tesla right now. Just like Amazon wasn't a bookstore, Tesla isn't a car company. In fact, check out these recent headlines. Elon Musk is a total fraud, said the New York Post in July of 2018. Another, nothing Elon Musk has done has stopped the bleeding at Tesla, and things look like they're going to get worse, said Business Insider in May of 2019. Morgan Stanley slashes worst case price for Tesla to $10, said Bloomberg, May 21st, 2019.
Okay, so after reading those headlines, you would have to be crazy to invest in Tesla. And yet, like you just showed us a little earlier, last year alone, shares jumped as high as 668%, I think you said. So why do you think that everyone got it so wrong?
Well, Chris, not everyone got it wrong. Only those who think Tesla is just a car company. I understood very early on that Tesla was much more than that. Check this out. As early as November of 2018, I wrote, "When I think about Tesla, I see one of the leading artificial intelligence companies in the world. This is the incredible part that most don't see or understand. Tesla designed a software AI platform to operate cars and trucks."
So I'm still not making the connection here. Around the same time that most people were telling us to avoid Tesla, you were saying it was time to buy.
Well, that's an understatement. I was pounding the table at the time. Later in January of 2019, I also wrote this: "What Wall Street has missed and is still missing is that Tesla is much more than just a flashy electric vehicle company. Tesla is really a software and artificial intelligence company that is leading the way in both the self-driving space as well as EV batteries. I'm telling you, when the market catches on to what Tesla really is, $300 will seem dirt cheap for the stock. We can expect Tesla to be trading anywhere between $450 and $600 within the next 36 months.
Okay, Jeff, I've got to say, I usually get to a point in our interviews where I am at a loss for words, and I think I'm there right now. I'm wrapping my mind around this. The last time I looked, shares were trading for more than $700. So what I'm getting at is it looks like you were 100% right on target here. If anything, you underestimated how fast shares were going to rise.
That's absolutely right. In fact, $700 was after a 5-to-1 stock split. Not adjusted for the stock split, the stock would be trading at more than $3,500. So shortly after I published that research, shares exploded as high as 1,481%.
Amazing.
It's funny, I just saw a note from the Royal Bank of Canada sent to its clients saying, "There is no graceful way to put this other than to say we got Tesla's stock completely wrong."
Really?
Wall Street is finally waking up. You see, most people missed that big rally because they thought Tesla was just another electric car company. But they're not. They are an artificial intelligence company. And the technology inside my pocket, Chris, is going to prove it. In fact, soon this piece of technology that's inside my pocket will be inside every single Tesla out there. And it could help you make an extra $30,000 every year.
Okay, let me push pause again for a moment here. We'll get to that technology inside your pocket finally in just a moment. But why is it that you say that Tesla is an artificial intelligence company? I mean, they don't sell software the way a Microsoft would. They really do sell cars, right?
Yes, they do sell cars, but please hear me out. Every other car maker buys or builds an engine and a chassis, and then they fill the rest of the details. Mm-hmm. And only then they write software to assist in controlling the car. Tesla actually does the opposite. It has designed its software first, and then it built a car around it. Uh-huh. The software comes first. The hardware, the chassis, the engine, the tires, the seats, etc., they come after. This allows the company to upgrade each car several times throughout the year. Chris, let me ask you this. What kind of phone do you have?
iPhone.
Okay, so you know when Apple has an update to its operating system, you get an alert that kind of looks like this, right? Something that says, update is now available, right?
Yes, that happens from time to time.
Well, Tesla does the same thing. Anytime Tesla has a software update for its fleet of cars, it simply pushes it out. And that's a big deal because that's how they're leading us into the next stage of transit, the future of transportation. What I call the marriage between electric vehicles and artificial intelligence, where cars will become fully autonomous. You see, just recently, Tesla pushed out a new update for its self-driving software, and it's a game changer. Here's how Tesla described it. When full self-driving is enabled, your vehicle will make lane changes off highways, select forks to follow your navigation route, navigate around other vehicles and objects, and make left and right turns.
Yeah, it all sounds just incredible. We've all heard, I think, about self-driving autonomous vehicles, but I still have to wonder, that's got to be years away, it seems.
Well, not really. In fact, Chris, it's already happening. And Chris, I knew you wouldn't believe it. So I recently got into a Tesla and took a camera with me. Check this out. All right, I'm here on a beautiful day inside of a Tesla Model 3. And while it might look like I'm going to be going for a drive, actually, I'm going to have the Tesla drive me. So I've set an address into the navigation system, and I'll show you how simple this is. Simply 2 clicks down, and the car drives by itself. I've pre-scheduled a location, but I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride. Yeah, so we're on a busy surface road right now, and as we look at the screen, we can see the AI actually identifying cars that are in our path, and it uses that information obviously to gauge a safe distance. It automatically brakes in order to maintain distance with the cars around it. We can see all the cars in the adjacent lane as well showing up. This truck here, and we can actually see the difference. We can see that it's a truck versus a sedan here, and we saw it pull right into the lane next to us. So we're just taking off right from a red light to a green light. No need to touch the accelerator or the brakes. All right, we're getting ready. We're just about to hop on to I-95 from a surface road. And the car just pulled into the lane, and we're taking a turn right onto the on-ramp. And now we're traveling 65 miles an hour along with the rest of the traffic. And the car even identifies the words merge and the arrow on the street, preparing the car to merge into the next lane. And we can see this is quite a busy environment. The highway is, all 5 lanes have cars in them, merging and switching lanes. So the incredible thing about these cars, the Teslas, is they really are a car designed around a computer. And inside of the vehicle is essentially a supercomputer. They're made up of very custom chips, graphic processing chips, that actually run the software algorithms. That's the artificial intelligence, which is exactly what enables the self-driving mode. And of course, around the car, there's several cameras and other sensors that help the car, the AI, basically see the road and all of the objects on the road that it needs to be aware of to drive safely. I know, it sounds like science fiction, but it's not science fiction. This is already happening. Tesla cars have already driven more than 4.5 billion miles on autopilot to date.
Right. It does sound incredible, and I admit I had no idea.
Yes, and the technology inside my pocket is helping make that a reality. In fact, this technology will soon be in every self-driving Tesla, and it will not only allow cars to self-drive, but it could also put an extra $30,000 in your pocket every year if you own a Tesla.
Okay, I need a little help with that too. How do you get $30,000 a year?
Well, when you own a car, let's face it, it just sits idle in a garage 95% of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine this. You arrive at work in your Tesla, get out of the car, and then you press a button on an app on your phone that instructs your Tesla to join the fleet. While you're at work, your Tesla is out driving itself, giving rides, earning money, and returns back to your office at the end of your workday. Imagine that. Your car becomes an income-producing asset, literally generating income for you every day. And that's exactly what Elon Musk is planning for Tesla. You'll pay less than $50,000 for a Tesla, but once that car is part of the robotaxi network, it could generate about $30,000 a year in gross profit.
All right, the light is beginning to dawn, and this is truly amazing. We all know that the moment you drive, the very moment you drive a new car off the lot, it does start to depreciate very, very fast. But you are saying here that a car could be able to put tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket every year, which makes it sound like a no-brainer to me.
That's right, and it's why Elon Musk recently said it is financially insane to buy anything else than a Tesla. The Washington Post even wrote an article about it and called it the holy grail of transportation's future, and said that it could enable customers to deploy their cars as driverless robo-taxis, making the owners money even when they would typically be parked in the garage. Make no mistake, this will be the future of transportation. And that's why one of America's top futurists, Peter Diamandis, recently said, the era of the internal combustion engine car is ending. From here on out, it's all about electric vehicles and autonomous ride sharing. While personal vehicles currently cost 53 cents per mile, autonomous electric vehicles are expected to vastly undercut this threshold at only 4 cents a mile.
Wow.
In other words, this transportation would be 92% cheaper.
Incredible. Tell me something. Do you think gas-powered cars will ever disappear?
Well, not disappear. Look, if that's what you want to drive, they'll still be available, but we just won't have as many choices as we have today. Most cars will be electric.
Okay, next question for the benefit of all of us, everybody watching. How can people profit from this trend? Buying shares of Tesla?
Well, Tesla is a great company, and it's leading this revolution. Competitors will have no way to compete with Tesla. Each Tesla car is connected to Tesla via a wireless network, and its fleet of self-driving cars is collecting driving data, images, performance data, etc. That's everything an AI needs to learn and get smarter every single day.
So basically, every time a Tesla car is out on autopilot, the AI is just getting smarter.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like each car is connected to a central brain. So every time one car learns something new by driving on the road, all the cars learn that new thing.
Okay.
That's why no other company on the planet has the network in place nor the data to compete with Tesla. But there's a problem. Shares are now trading above $700.
Right.
They were cheap when I wrote about them back in 2018. Before they went up 1,481%. But that's no longer the case. And that's why today I want to share an opportunity that's even better than Tesla.
Technology in your pocket.
Yes, finally. And it's all thanks to this tiny piece of tech. You see, these Tesla cars have a camera mounted behind the windshield. It's that camera that provides visibility in front of the car. It captures front images over up to 250 meters. And those cameras use this imaging sensor that I'm holding in my hand. Now, normally Tesla is very secretive about its suppliers. Good luck finding that information on their website or even in their SEC filings. But after countless hours of research, I found the company that's making these sensors for Tesla. And here's the good news. While shares of Tesla are trading above $700, the company behind this tech is trading for a price that's 95% cheaper. So that means there is a lot of upside potential.
I don't think there's any secret what my next question is going to be. May we have the name and the ticker of that company, please?
Well, like I mentioned before, Tesla is very secretive with that kind of thing. For example, I looked through their latest annual report, and they do not mention the name of this supplier anywhere. And as far as I know, Elon never mentioned the name of this company in one of the company's presentations. But here's the good news. I put all the details inside a special report that I'd like to give everyone access to right now. It's called How to Make a Fortune from Tesla's Secret Supplier. Inside this report, I'll give you all the details on this company, including its name and ticker symbol. This company is in the perfect position to profit from this marriage between electric vehicles and artificial intelligence. Fortune magazine even named it one of the fastest growing companies in America. You see, aside from this sensor that's used in Tesla, this company makes more than 10,000 other car products, mainly semiconductors, including power semiconductors that help bring the cost of batteries down. And that's a big deal because electric vehicles require a lot more semiconductors than regular cars. It's estimated that a regular car has $100 worth of semiconductors, but an EV will have as much as $500 worth, so 5 times more.
Wow.
And as we transition from gas-powered to electric, we'll need a lot more semiconductors. Remember when I said that General Motors announced they'll soon be a 100% electric car company?
Oh, yes.
Well, this company is also supplying General Motors. So, as all the automakers continue to shift to EV, this company stands to make a fortune. But remember, we're on the cusp of mass adoption, and that's when we'll see the biggest gains. If you wait, you'll miss out. So we really have no time to waste here.
Right, and you did mention, you showed us what happened to Tesla. It went up 1,481% after you wrote about it. So anyone who waited did miss out on those big gains.
Exactly. Now, unfortunately, Tesla is too expensive,
Right.
But this company that's supplying this tech to Tesla is not. There's a lot of upside here. And that's why I want to rush this report to anyone who's serious about this opportunity. All I ask in return is that you try out my monthly research service, the Near Future Report, at no risk to you. That's right. You can try it for the next 60 days with no risk to you. And when you do, I'll immediately send you this report.
All right, well, Jeff, it sounds terrific. And I understand that the Near Future Report is your flagship research that you publish every month. Can you explain a little bit about how it works?
Yes, every month I publish my best investment ideas in the Near Future Report. And I call it Near Future because the future is coming much faster than you think. Technology is moving so fast that it's really hard for the average person to keep up. By the time they hear about it from the mainstream media, it's already too late. Shares have already popped and the big money has been made. For that reason, a lot of people end up missing out on the big investment opportunities, and that's where I can help. As you mentioned before, I was a technology executive for 25 years, and I've done dozens of deals as an angel investor. So I've built great contacts in the tech space, and that allows me to see tech trends months, if not years, before they become mainstream. And that's my goal in this month's publication. You'll hear about the most exciting tech trends before they become mainstream. Right now, our model portfolio is well diversified across the top trends in technology today. I'm talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, genetic editing, precision medicine, cloud computing, and even 5G wireless technology.
Right. I know you're one of the very first analysts to actually start covering 5G.
That's right. I'm very excited about 5G because it will enable new technologies like self-driving cars, augmented reality and virtual reality, remote surgery, and even holographic telepresence. In fact, I just finished a brand new report on a very exciting 5G company, and I wrote this report right after my 5G Heartland tour.
Heartland tour?
Yes, we actually have some footage of that tour. Let me show you.
Okay.
I traveled to almost 20 cities around the United States, and this footage is proof that 5G is up and running in places like Des Moines, Omaha, Memphis, Little Rock, Kansas City, and countless other heartland cities. I experienced 1.5 gigabits per second without any delay in many of those places. For perspective, that's 150 times faster than the average speeds of my own hometown's 4G wireless network. But here's the thing. To get that kind of speed, you need to be in the range of a 5G cell tower or base station. And that's why most Americans still don't have that kind of speed. But this company that's trading for less than $5 a share will help change all of that. They're going to bring those 5G speeds to every city block in the world. And that's why I'm confident that investors who jump in now stand to make a fortune. Now, of course, all investments carry risk, and past performance does not guarantee future success, but I put all the details of this company in another special report called My Number One Pure 5G Play. And it's yours for free the moment you try out the Near Future Report.
Absolutely fantastic, Jeff. And I think we talked a little bit about your amazing track record earlier, but I think it's briefly worth repeating. You did pick Bitcoin right before it exploded.
13,932%.
You picked NVIDIA as your favorite stock back in 2016. Just before shares exploded there, 2,186%. You recommended AMD in 2017 as your favorite stock. Boom, it exploded as high as 805%. And then when everyone was telling us to avoid Tesla like the plague, we mentioned this a few minutes ago, you were pounding the table to buy shares. And since then, shares have jumped 1,481%. It's easy to see why many do consider you the number one tech investing expert in America. Now, I have also seen some notes from your readers, and I like to do this to share it with everyone out there. I can tell that they love your research. We're going to share some of these notes. Listen to this. I've been a loyal subscriber for some time now and greatly admire and appreciate the work that you do to bring us readers such quality recommendations. Your newsletters are well worth their weight in gold. That came from Brian Z. Here's another. I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate the Near Future Report. I find Jeff's observations very interesting. Well worth the subscription. Keep up the good work. Sandra M. Here's a third. Congratulations on another blockbuster month and an excellent piece of research work that you've shared with us today. Just finished reading it, and what a wealth of truly valuable information. Very rare and hard to find. That was from Kyle O. And one more. Just wanted you all to know that this is the most trustworthy news and picks I ever came across, hands down. My portfolio is nothing but Jeff's picks, and I'm very pleased with how they're performing. The best newsletter printed, period. Keep up the great work. And that is from Leonard S. Jeff, this is always great stuff.
That's
But
great.
I can't say that I'm surprised that these folks are happy. I mean, I looked at the open positions in your model portfolio and I couldn't believe it. You are up, get this, up in all of the positions, every single one of them. There is not one single loser there. And these are not small gains either. Some of these are as high as 118%. 282%, and 351%. I mean, truly, this is amazing. So for the benefit of everyone watching right now, what do they got to do to get started?
All right. Well, normally a one-year subscription to the Near Future Report costs $199. But because of this unprecedented situation, I want to do something special today. You see, we're on the cusp of mass adoption of electric vehicles. And that will only happen once. It's happening right now. And like I showed you here today, this is all part of a $30 trillion trend. And according to Bank of America, there's $20 trillion more on the way. Everyone is getting in. For you watching at home, I really don't want you to miss out on this megatrend. So I don't want price to be an issue. That's why I've prepared a special discount for you. But Chris, before I give the details, I almost forgot to tell you about another major opportunity I'm following right now. It's a huge opportunity created by the pandemic.
Right, the pandemic. So you're talking about investing in companies that are making the vaccine.
No, it's actually much bigger than that. You see, the pandemic was, of course, terrible for a lot of businesses. For example, it's estimated that 16,000 restaurants went out of business, but many other companies are thriving in this new normal. You see, the pandemic has forced entire societies to adopt and rely on technologies to continue day-to-day operations. As a result, shares of the companies behind those technologies are exploding higher. Look at the company DocuSign, for example. They're the leader in digital contracts and signatures. They allow people to sign documents electronically so that you don't need to do it in person.
Yeah, which is actually perfect for a pandemic, right?
Exactly. In fact, I recommended it in the pages of the Near Future Report, and so far, shares have skyrocketed as high as 407%. Take a look.
400%. Absolutely incredible. Now, most people would have to wait years and years to see those kinds of gains. I mean, in some cases, probably decades.
Yes, and Chris, that's exactly my point. The pandemic has triggered a boom in these types of stocks. Look at what happened with shares of Zoom. I think at this point, everyone has done a Zoom call.
Absolutely.
Businesses and schools across the country relied on Zoom to operate during the lockdowns. No wonder shares have absolutely exploded during the pandemic. Anyone who bought shares when the company went public in 2019 already made more than 10 times their money. But if you missed on those big gains, please don't worry, because I just put together a special report called The New Economy: 5 Stocks That Will Soar in the Post-COVID World. As the name suggests, inside this report, you'll find not one, but 5 stocks, each with the potential to multiply your money many times over.
And that report is also free when you try out the Near Future Report.
Yes, you'll gain access to all 3 reports I've mentioned so far.
Terrific. Folks, we've covered a lot of ground so far, so let's just recap this. Here is everything that you're going to get when you take this risk-free subscription to the Near Future Report. Number 1, 12 months of Jeff's very best investment ideas. That means every month you're going to get a brand new issue of the Near Future Report with Jeff's top way of playing AI, blockchain, 5G, robotics, what am I leaving out? Self-driving cars, all of the most exciting tech trends of our time. Bonus number 1, how to make a fortune from Tesla's secret supplier. Remember, they're the ones that supply Tesla with this bit of technology. So inside this special report, you'll find the details of the company that's not only supplying Tesla, but also playing a key role in the mass adoption of electric vehicles. We have bonus number 2, which is my number 1 pure 5G play. And in this report, you're going to get all of the details of this particular 5G stock that's trading right now for less than $5. Then there's bonus number 3, the new economy, 5 stocks that will soar in the post-COVID world. And this report from Jeff will show you 5 companies that will thrive in this new normal. You're going to get access to Jeff's model portfolio, where you can see all of the current open positions. You're also going to get full support. Jeff's customer support team is located in Delray Beach, Florida. Please feel free to call or email them with any help that you may need with your subscription. Just remember, they can't offer personalized investment advice, of course. You're also going to get full 24/7 access to the members-only website. So, Jeff, I know that you mentioned that the normal price for a 1-year subscription is $199, but you also mentioned you're giving folks a special discount today?
That's right. It's a discount of $150, and that means today you can gain access for 1 year for just $49. That covers a full year of access.
Wow. So a full year of getting Jeff Brown's very best ideas. So you're looking at what, 13 cents a day? I mean, you're really making this a no-brainer for everybody that's watching right now.
And it's probably worth mentioning, I'm not even asking for any type of long-term commitment. You could just try it out and decide later if it's right for you.
So let's talk about that for a moment, because how exactly does that trial work?
Well, anyone who joins today will have 60 days to test out the service at no risk. If, during that period, you find that you're not getting life-changing information or for any reason at all, you can simply call our customer service team and cancel your subscription. We'll give you a full refund, no questions asked. And we'll let you keep everything you received as a subscriber at no charge.
All right, just to be clear, they can keep all the reports that we've talked about here today.
Yes, you can keep all the issues, you can keep all the special reports, you can keep everything. This means that there's no risk to you at all.
Right. So folks, you heard Jeff. Really, there is no risk to you for this offer. And to get started, all you've got to do is simply click the button below. And remember, like Jeff showed us here today, many of the companies involved in this booming electric vehicle space are soaring higher. He mentioned Condi Technologies jumped as high as 532% last year alone. Lithium Americas Corp jumped as high as 641%. Arcimoto Inc. jumped as high as 1,660%. Seaback Energy Technology, that one really popped up to 1,622%. Ohio electric van maker Workhorse Group, we mentioned that earlier, that skyrocketed as high as 1,887%. And shares of Chinese EV maker NIO jumped as high as 2,207%. And all of these massive gains happened just last year. I mean, in just this last example alone, Jeff, had you invested $5,000 in that company, just a few months later, you'd have more than $115,000. And now, of course, Jeff has found a company that is set to be the next big winner of this electric vehicle revolution. And as he said, no time to waste. Electric vehicles are on the cusp of mass adoption. And as you can see from these incredible gains, things are moving at lightning fast speed, which means each day you wait, you could be leaving a ton of money on the table here. This really is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This kind of mass adoption only is going to happen once. And if you miss it, there won't be another chance. But I'm not worried. I know that you're going to make the right decision for you and your loved ones. Click that button below to get started. Jeff, I got nothing else here. I just want to say thanks so much for being with us. We always learn a lot about new and exciting trends, and we always benefit from it. Thanks for being with us.
Well, it's really my pleasure. And just to say thank you to all of you who tuned in to watch our show.
So long.